Hi guys, I'm here. I'm going to be making a tutorial on how to make a little golden book junk journal. Well, it's not really a tutorial per se. It's more of just how I do it, because I'm sure there's a million and one ways. Today we're going to be focusing on the cover. So first things first, you need yourself a little golden book. This one's new, but you can use an old one. It doesn't matter. The first thing we need to do is take it apart. So, things you're gonna need to do this so you can get everything gathered is you need your book, you need a spine, which I just made this out of some foam board, and I cut it, it's 2 inches, about, approximately. And I didn't do that good of a job cutting because I'm not that good at cutting stuff out, but it doesn't matter in the end. So get yourself a cutout spine, however thick you want it, probably about 2 inches or so. You need a X-Acto knife, and then it's really you probably don't have to have, but it's really helpful to have some pliers, some jewelry pliers, and then to construct it, you'll need glue, obviously. You'll need a piece of fabric that is long enough to go around all the way, both sides of your book. And then you're going to need 2 pieces of scrapbook paper, one for the back cover and one for the inside covers. Now you don't have to do that step, you can just leave the back cover the way it is and the inside covers the way they are, but I personally like to cover them. But that's personal preference, so you don't have to do that. You just need this if you don't want to do that. And also, when I first started making these, I didn't have fabric that was long enough to wrap around, because I only had little quilting squares. And you'll see, like on this one, this is the entire length of the fabric that I had. So I used a piece of paper on the inside of these, folded it over, and then used the fabric to cover the outside how I could. So you can do it that way as well, but we'll get to that part. First things first, we need to take this apart. So little golden books have 2 staples in them. That's all that's holding them together. So if you see like there's little dents, so what you're gonna want to do is get the paper out. And then you'll see a staple, and then you'll do that on this side as well. And then on the back. Then you'll see that staple. Now, like I said, this is just my way of doing it. I've seen people do it where they use this little spine. I cut mine off, so that's going to be up to you. So on the side that you can see the 2 little prongs of the staple, you'll start on that side, and then you're just going to want to try to like pry them off. Let me see if I can zoom you in here, what I'm doing. You just take each side and try to pry them off. Open the staple. And then from there, I usually take this tool and I just force it out. See how it's sticking up a little bit there? Then you can just grab that, twist, there you go. The staple out. You don't need that. Get rid of it. Then you just do the same on the other side. I finally got that pesky staple out. I messed this cover up something awful trying to get that out. That was the hardest staple I've ever tried. Of course, while I'm trying to make a video. Anyways, once you get the staples out, the book will just open up just like this, and then you'll have 2 signatures out of this book, which we'll just hold on to for later. We don't need those right now. So you see here, if you wanted to, you could just make this the spine and reinforce it, but that's not big enough for me personally. So what I like to do, I mean, what you could do is just cut this in half and then reinforce this so it doesn't bend, and then you'd have a cover like this. But I just like to take these off because that's just how I do. So let me get my cutting mat out, and then you just have to cut this part off. So honestly, what I've done before is just fold it like this, or stick your blade in there and then just cut straight down. It doesn't matter if it's perfect because you can trim that up later. So just fold it, stick your blade in, cut all the way. Boom, bam. Then this, you can just get rid of. You don't need that. You can also use one of these rotary blades to cut it if that's easier for you. And then if there's any excess, we'll just use some scissors to trim it off to make it all nice and flush. You're going to be covering this anyway, so it doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, good enough. Okay. Get rid of this. Clean up a little bit. Alright, so now we're gonna need to cover the back cover first. So take your paper that you want to cover this with, and you guys are gonna be so upset because this paper is so pretty on this side, but I have more, so it's a sacrifice I have to make because this just matches this cover so nicely. So you're gonna want to cut it a little bit bigger on both sides. So we'll cut it here, and then we'll cut it here. Get out my cutter. And we'll of course save the excess paper. Okay. Now we just need to glue this down. You can use any glue. This is 3-in-1, which is not my favorite, but I have it, so now I have to use it up. It smells really bad. But I use, for all the journals I made previously, I just had Aleene's tacky glue, and that worked fine as long as I used like a paintbrush to make sure it didn't have any lumpy bumpies like this. We're just gonna glue that down just like this. Take something flat, just flatten it out on there. Then we're just gonna fold. And I have before forgot to do this step with the fold over, so you can just cut this off if you want. It doesn't matter. I mean, this side we're not covering the front, so it'll have the edge sides anyways. But we'll just fold all the sides over to get them trained a little bit. And then if we want to, we can cut the corners off. This is kind of hard for me to do because I usually sit when I'm crafting and I have to stand while I'm recording, so to make sure you guys are in frame, so that's why I'm struggling. Crafting and videoing yourself crafting are like two totally different entities, it seems. Okay, we're just gonna glue these flaps down. Make sure we get to the very edge. Just clip these while we do the other side. And then we'll just do this the same way. I'll come back to you guys once this is all glued up. I'm sure you get the gist. Okay, so now this is all properly glued. We have our front and back cover. It'll be like this. The book will open like this. We need to cover the inside covers now. Well, actually, it depends. If you want the fabric to be on the outside, then you will cover the inside first. But if you want the fabric to be covered like this, you'll do this part first. But I want the fabric to be showing, so. And also you can use this offcut to cover the spine if you don't have fabric long enough. You'll just take this, cut it down, and then, well, you cut it down this way, and you'll use these flaps to attach to this cover. Well, you do it like this. This will be glued on here. You'll just attach these flaps like this, and then you'll have these folded down, so you won't be able to see when you put the fabric on the back, but that's just an idea if you don't have long enough fabric. So what are we going to do next? We're going to cover the insides, which I chose. I'm just going to use this shimmery. So what we need to do is cut these exactly you know what, I'm just going to cut this in half. I'll be right back. And I'll have two pieces cut exactly the size of these. We don't want any hangover or anything like that. Be right back. Okay. I've cut down these pages down to size. So one will go like this and one will go like this. And then we're simply going to glue those on. Make sure you really get those edges, especially on this one, since it already has paper there. Normally I would do a much better job gluing this, but I'm just trying not to bore you guys. So, do better than me. Make sure it fits exactly right, and if it's a little short, put the short side on the side that's going to be the inside so that the spine will cover that. Okay. There you go. And then I probably go put this under something heavy. And if it's a little long, you just trim it up like this. My video cut out, sorry about that. But anyways, we're just gluing this cover on. The other side. Focusing mainly on the edges. And then we just put this right on. Make sure it lines up perfect. Like I said before, if it's going to be a little short, make it short on the edge that the spine will cover. Okay? Now you can really see how badly I cut the spine off. We'll just trim that up a little. It doesn't really matter. We're about to cover that as well, so. And then if you have any overhang, just go ahead and trim it off. Clean up. Okay, so now you have your front and your back. And now we're going to do the spine. So first, we are going to take our fabric and take our spine. And we're going to find just about the middle, and then we're going to glue that on. Right about the middle, just like that. Go on the side and we're going to pull it, make sure there aren't any wrinkles. Don't glue it to your desk. So then we're going to make sure, this is really important, we're going to make sure the book is the right way up, right side up, because it's no good when you glue it upside down. But we're going to just take the edge of the front cover, and you know what I like to do before? We're going to take a ruler and just set it on top of there so we make sure this is straight. So all I'm going to do is do like a tiny bead right on the very edge of this cover. And we'll add more later if we need more. Okay, so we're going to make sure this is straight. And we're going to leave a little gap in between. And make sure this is straight. Make sure that's straight. Oops. Just like that. And then we'll do the same on this side. Just do a little bead. Leave a gap in between. Now we're going to flip the whole thing over. And then we can go in and glue the rest. You can trim this so that it doesn't cover the words right here. But for me, I don't mind if it covers it a little bit. I know it probably bothers some people, but to me, this isn't a little golden book anymore. it's a journal, so that's personal preference. You can definitely cut this to be shorter if you don't like that. And then we'll do the same on this side. We'll just glue. Maybe don't go as crazy as me because now there's overhang, but I usually put lace anyway, so it won't matter. Now we're gonna go back on the inside. Now, as I was saying before, if you were gonna use paper, you would have just covered the spine with paper and folded this over on both sides, and then you would just glue the flaps on the inside of the paper. Maybe I should do an example. If you guys want to see an example of how to do it with paper, let me know and I'll make a little quick video about that. I'm just going to actually zoom you out a little bit. I'm going to glue the fabric on this, so we make sure to get all the edges. Make sure you pull it tight, and then before it dries, you're gonna wanna go in these creases because you want the crease, you want the fabric to glue to itself. Just like that. And then same thing on this side, which we could probably cut that a little, but I'm not gonna worry about it right now. Make sure you get the edges really good. Like I said before, I would usually do a much better job gluing, so do better than me. I'm just trying to make this quick for you guys, so you don't have to watch me glue for an hour. Okay, get the edges, oops. Okay, get the edges. And then I will probably leave this under something heavy for a couple hours or overnight before you go on to the next step. But that's how, that's the basic construction of the cover. There's one more thing we can do really quickly, and that is put on some corners. So here are the corners, and I got these on a pack on Amazon, and I find that they're like too big for these books for some reason. So what I do is I just go and I take a little tool and like squeeze this in a little bit, so then I can, sorry, my fingers are so gluey now, like squeeze this a little so it's a bit smaller, and then we're gonna put just a dab of glue in there, and then we will stick that on the corner and then squeeze it on. There we go. And I'll come back when all 4 of them are done. Okay, so that is pretty much it. I'm just adding a little bit of lace to decorate. I have all the corners. I put lace on the back already. We're just gonna add a little bit on the front to kind of complete it. And that'll pretty much complete the cover, so you'll have to take a look out for part 2, which will be the signatures. And then we'll probably do a last part about sewing in the signatures and decorating. It might be 4 parts, I don't know. It depends how long sewing them in takes. There you go. We'll just trim this up. And there we go. That is a Cinderella little golden book. Here's how it looks. It's nice and sturdy. This is the inside and the back. And there we go. So look out for part 2 if you're interested in seeing how the signatures are. And look for the rest of my series on Little Golden Book tutorial if you're interested to see more. Okay, thanks guys, bye!